They were the kind of couple people described as inseparable: warm smiles, endless laughter, and a love story that felt timeless. Every Christmas, they had a tradition: go somewhere new, away from the noise, away from everything. But in December of 2012, their Christmas getaway to Sun City was supposed to be another escape, until they vanished without a trace. For 13 long years, their families lived in a loop of silence. No clues, no answers, just the ghost of that December morning. And then, something surfaced. Something that made everyone question everything they thought they knew about that trip. This is the haunting story of the couple who vanished on a Christmas vacation to Sun City, and the truth that finally emerged 13 years later. Before we go further, if this is your first time on this channel, we love you to hit the subscribe button, turn on notification, like, share and comment your thoughts below. It was December 21st, 2012, the kind of winter evening that looked like it belonged on a postcard. Outside, snow layered the rooftops in perfect silence, and inside the Keller home, the laughter of Evan and Lily Keller filled the warm air. For 5 years, the young couple had made a tradition of spending every Christmas somewhere new, a promise they made on their wedding night. No matter where life took them, they'd always meet the holidays under a different sky. That year, their destination was Sun City, a luxurious resort city famous for its golden light, desert warmth, and vibrant holiday celebrations. For Evan, it meant escaping the pressure of his new architecture firm. For Lily, a photographer, it meant one more chance to capture the world before they tried for a baby. They packed lightly: 2 suitcases, a camera bag, and a worn leather journal Lily never traveled without. Before leaving, she scribbled one last line on its back cover: every Christmas has a story. No one knew that this would be the last entry she would ever write. As they drove off that night, a silver SUV disappearing under snow and streetlights, their neighbor, Mrs. Hawkins, waved from her porch. She later recalled Evan's words: "We'll be back before New Year's. Save us a slice of pie." But the Kellers never came back. The journey to Sun City was long, nearly 8 hours of highway stretching through mountains and open plains. Lily documented everything: the frost on the trees, Evan's hand on the steering wheel, the endless road bending toward sunrise. Around 2 a.m., Evan called his brother, just to say they were halfway there. His voice was calm, cheerful even. He mentioned stopping at a roadside diner near the border for coffee. That call would later become the last confirmed trace of them. When the Kellers didn't arrive by morning, no one panicked at first. They were spontaneous travelers, often changing routes for scenery. But by Christmas night, when their phones went silent and Lily's social media froze, their families began to worry. The police were notified the next morning, December 26th, but there was no sign of the couple or their car. No skid marks. No wreckage. Just silence. Over the following weeks, search teams combed through highways, small motels, and rest stops. Flyers with their faces were taped across coffee shops, gas stations, and bus stops. Evan's parents offered a $20,000 reward. Lily's photography friends organized candlelight vigils. But as winter faded into spring, so did hope. People started to whisper theories: maybe they ran away, maybe trouble found them, or maybe they never left the road at all. By the end of 2013, the case went cold. Their home was eventually sold. The Christmas lights they left hanging on their porch still flickered faintly when the realtor took the final photos, a haunting reminder of what once was. 13 years. Time has a strange way of fading pain, or at least teaching people to live around it. In 2025, Sun City had changed. It was no longer just a resort, it had become a sprawling city, full of high-rises and luxury malls. Tourists still came for the warmth, the golden sunsets, and the Christmas festivals. Among them was Maya Lennox, a travel journalist filming a documentary on vanished vacationers. She had grown up in the same town as the Kellers and remembered their disappearance vividly. Her plan was simple: retrace their route, stop where they stopped, and capture the spaces they might have passed through. She didn't expect to find anything. But in stories like these, sometimes fate has other plans. At a nearly deserted inn just outside Sun City, Maya booked a night. The owner, an aging woman named Dolores, seemed hesitant when Maya mentioned the Kellers. "I remember that Christmas," she whispered. "A young couple checked in. Said they were heading to the resort the next morning, but they left before sunrise. I still think about them sometimes." Then she added something strange. "Room 3 hasn't been rented since that night. I just never could bring myself to open it again." The hallway smelled faintly of dust and old pine cleaner. Maya followed Dolores down the narrow corridor, her camera light cutting through the dim yellow air. The old woman stopped in front of a door with faded paint, the number 3 hanging crooked, barely clinging to the wood. "Hasn't been touched since that Christmas," Dolores murmured, her voice trembling. "I keep meaning to fix it up, but something about it feels wrong." She handed Maya the key, a rusted brass one with a red tag. The lock gave a heavy click, and the door creaked open. Inside, the room was frozen in time. A single bed still made, curtains drawn halfway, a dusty lamp in the corner. Everything was still, too still. Maya felt a chill crawl up her spine as she scanned the room. On the small table near the window lay a folded brochure. "Welcome to Sun City. Celebrate Christmas under the sun." Next to it, a coffee mug, half full, its contents now dark and solidified with age. She took a step closer and noticed something odd. Behind the nightstand, wedged deep against the wall, was a small leather-bound journal, its spine cracked, the edges browned with time. When she picked it up and opened the first page, her breath caught. The handwriting was delicate, looping, unmistakably feminine. "December 22nd, 2012, Sun City tomorrow. I can't wait. Evan says he has a surprise planned." The name on the inside cover confirmed it. Lily Keller. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, the weight of the discovery pressing into her chest. Each page of the journal felt like a whisper from the past. Lily had written about the drive, the music, the long stretches of road, even the diner where they stopped. Her words painted the kind of love that still lingers in photographs long after they fade. Then the entries began to shift. "December 23rd, Evan's been distant. Keeps checking his phone. Says it's work, but something feels off. December 24th, we argued tonight. I wanted to go into the city, he wanted to stay here. I told him Christmas isn't meant to be spent in silence. December 25th, he left early this morning. Said he was going to pick something up. He's been gone for hours. I'm starting to get scared." The next page was torn out, and then nothing. The final entry stopped mid-sentence. Maya looked up, heart pounding. She turned to Dolores. "You're sure no one's been in this room since 2012? The old woman nodded. "Not a soul." Maya's camera light flickered slightly, the bulb struggling. In the brief dark, she thought she saw a figure reflected faintly in the mirror, standing by the door. But when the light steadied again, it was gone. That night, unable to sleep, Maya scrolled through her camera footage. In one clip, taken when she first entered room 3, she froze the frame and zoomed in. There, in the corner of the mirror, was a blurred outline. 2 figures faint side by side. One seemed to be holding something, a key. Was it a trick of the light, or a reflection from her own shadow? She couldn't tell. The next morning, she decided to check the motel's old storage room. A cluttered space filled with broken furniture and dusty suitcases. Dolores allowed her access, though reluctantly. Near the back, buried under faded holiday decorations, Maya noticed a locked chest, old and scratched, with the motel's logo faintly carved on it. Her hands trembled as she ran her fingers across the latch. "That's been there for years," Dolores said softly. "It was found in room 3 after the couple disappeared. Police said it was empty. I never checked." Maya hesitated, then pried it open. Inside, wrapped in a torn bedsheet, was a Christmas ornament. A glass sphere cracked on one side, with a photo curled inside it. The picture showed Lily and Evan, smiling in front of their car, the snowy highway behind them. But behind them, almost out of frame, stood a third person half hidden watching. Maya studied the photo again and again, enlarging it on her laptop. The stranger's face was partially obscured by the reflection, but something about the outline of his coat and the tilt of his head felt familiar. Dolores frowned as she looked closer. "That looks like my son, Daniel. He helped me run the place back then." The air in the room grew heavy. "He left a few days after that couple went missing," she added quietly. "Said he was moving to the city. Never heard from him again." Maya's pulse quickened. The motel, the journal, the ornament, everything led back to this place. But there was one thing that didn't make sense. If the Kellers had vanished after leaving for Sun City, why were their belongings still here? Dolores turned toward the window, voice trembling. "Sometimes I think they never made it out of this town. Some nights, when the wind's quiet, I swear I hear voices down that hallway, like they're still trying to leave." Maya didn't sleep that night. The rain outside the motel fell in steady, lonely rhythms, and somewhere between the sound of thunder and her own heartbeat, she decided she couldn't leave without knowing the truth. Dolores had given her one lead, a postcard Daniel had sent the year after he left. It was postmarked from a small, almost forgotten town 3 hours away, near the desert's edge. The message was brief, written in shaky ink. "Don't look for me, Mom. I can't undo what happened." Maya's mind looped around those words as she packed her camera and the journal into her bag. At sunrise, she checked out of the motel and drove east, the horizon painted in fading gold. The further she went, the emptier the roads became. Abandoned gas stations, silent fields, a world left behind. When she reached the town, a cluster of old houses and faded signage, she asked around quietly. Most people didn't remember the name Daniel. But one man, a mechanic with gray stubble and oil-stained hands, paused when she showed him a photo. "Yeah," he said slowly. "He used to rent a small cabin up by the ridge. Haven't seen him in years. Left some things behind, though. Old folks say he talked to himself, about a couple who never made it home." The cabin stood half buried in sand and silence, its roof caved slightly, windows fogged by dust. Maya hesitated at the door before pushing it open. The smell of old wood and rain seeped out like a sigh. Inside, time had stopped again, as if Daniel had simply stepped out one day and never returned. A table still held a faded coffee cup, and pinned above it was a photograph of the motel, room 3 circled in red ink. Next to it, a second photo, Evan and Lily Keller. Maya felt her stomach twist. Beneath the photos, a torn page from Lily's journal was taped to the wall, the missing page. It read, "December 25th, there's someone outside. Watching the room. Evan says I'm imagining it, but I saw a man by the car. I know what I saw." Her breath caught. The handwriting ended abruptly, the ink smudged like it had been written in fear. And then on the floor near the bed, she noticed something glinting beneath a loose plank. When she pried it up, there was an old key ring, with a single red tag. Room 3. Maya returned to Sun City 2 days later. She checked into the same resort the Kellers had planned to visit, the one they never reached. The city was glowing with Christmas decorations again, the air filled with laughter, lights, and music. But she couldn't shake the feeling that beneath all the glitter, the past was still breathing. In the quiet of her room, she opened Lily's journal again. The last complete entry replayed in her mind like a whisper. Every Christmas has a story. That night, she wandered to the resort's edge, to the overlook that faced the long stretch of highway where the Kellers had last been seen. There she saw a small memorial, a pair of candles, a photo, and a note left by an anonymous visitor. "Forgive me. I never meant for it to happen." Maya stood in the cold silence, realizing the story she was chasing wasn't just about disappearance. It was about guilt, and how it lingers, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. Days later, while reviewing footage for her documentary, Maya slowed down a clip she'd taken near the cabin. At first it looked like static, wind in the trees, a broken doorframe swaying. But then she noticed something. In the far corner of the frame, a makeshift cross stood, half buried in the sand. On it, faintly carved, were 2 initials. "EK" and "LK." She froze. Her breath hitched. In the silence that followed, she whispered into the camera. They never left. The story never left this desert. Later, as she drove away from the ridge, she imagined Lily's voice, the way it might have sounded if she could still speak. Not angry, not vengeful, just longing to be remembered. On Christmas Eve 2025, Maya released her documentary. It wasn't filled with answers, no crime scene, no culprits, no certainty. Just moments, memories, and fragments of 2 people who disappeared chasing warmth in a cold world. The film ended with Lily's handwriting across the screen. Every Christmas has a story, and beneath it, Maya's closing narration. Sometimes, the truth isn't about finding who's guilty or who's gone. It's about finding what's left behind, the echoes of love, the silence of regret, and the stories that refuse to fade, even after 13 years. As the credits rolled, snow began to fall again over Sun City, faint, unexpected, and almost merciful. And for a brief moment, it felt like the Kellers had finally made it home. Some stories never really end. They just settle into the quiet corners of time, waiting for someone to remember them. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Don't forget, every story we tell reminds us how fragile life truly is. Do well to turn on notification, hit the subscribe button, like, share, and comment below. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.